All right, folks, welcome back to the second episode of the Yet to Be Named podcast. Here with KaijuCanuck, we've also got Kumo and returning. Kumo, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks.
Great. How you feeling?
Awesome, thank you. Happy 420.
Happy 420 indeed. Giving away when this is being recorded. Amazing. Yeah, so welcome back, guys. Good to have you back. First episode seemed to go over well. Seems people are interested. We are slowly converging on a name. If you made it through to the end of the last episode, then you have some sense of what we're leaning toward, I think. But I think, and then as we were doing our preamble, we were discussing that maybe we'll come up with a couple of ideas and then we'll pitch it to the audience. See what they vote on. See what they like.
You have to put recommendations in the comments.
Yeah, if there are recommendations, that'd be cool too. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So I am actually going to be handing over the reins to because has done all the prep and setting the agenda for what we're going to be talking about today. And he's also gone ahead and assigned homework for himself and Kumo regarding a topic that we'll be talking about later. Again, I'm going in pretty blind to this, but I think it'll be at least an interesting discussion. We will see just how unhinged gets, because apparently he's been, according to Kumo, he's been really rearing up for this one. So I am equal parts scared and curious about what's about to transpire.
He's been a complete madman.
Everyone thought you were like really mean to STR and everything, so now I'm just going to be like, no, this is what being mean looks like when I cover the garbage that Kumo and I suffered through and will not get the time of our lives back.
Okay, well, that is a hell of an introduction. With that, handing over the reins, you are today's podcast master.
Well, this is new. So I think we should start with something more positive in a way. Kumo, I know you're also following the Ultraman Arc.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I initially had some pretty mixed feelings about Arc's design. That being said, I really like the fact that it seems to be going for something like a mid-era Showa kind of vibe. I'm really excited, and I think the new Kaiju looks really fun, too.
Yeah, the what's it called, Megalomos or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess there's some possible theories that it might be two kaiju that fuse together.
That would track, and I mean, there's precedent for that. We've had Ultraman shows where the initial threat is two separate kaiju. So.
Yep. And then I know I showed Canuck here some of the returning kaiju that are slated to come back: Noisler from 80 and King Source the Third from Ultraman Jack.
Yeah, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, he sent me some photos. And I'm generally unfamiliar with Ultraman. I know very little. Like, I know some of the big ones like Gamora, Red King, but once you get past that, I don't really know too much. But it's funny that you mentioned, Kumo, that they seem inspired by like mid Showa, because when sent me the photos, like, these don't look like modern images to me. Like, my instinct was like, oh, this looks like the same, like something I would have found in like 1974 Mechagodzilla. Like, it looks like a Showa film, which is really, really interesting to me.
Yeah, and that's my personal favorite era for Tokusatsu TV, at least. So I'm really hoping that it'll capture some of the vibes that those shows have.
Well, I guess it's being very inspired by Return of Ultraman.
Yeah, like they use kind of a similar color pattern for the background of the title card and stuff.
It's really nice seeing an Ultra come back that doesn't have like all the extra add-ons that have been put on since New Generation. Mm-hmm. Arc has this really old school look. I know the head's kind of wonky, but the actual body color, I think they nailed it.
This isn't a Showa Ultraman, but he kind of reminds me of Ultraman Max in terms of design.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, Max himself was also very Showa-ish, just with some armor thrown on.
Yeah, I've always said Max basically feels like kind of a higher end remake of the original series.
Yep.
But yeah, very excited for that. It starts in July 6th to be precise, so we're getting pretty close to it. And yeah, I'll probably be sharing my thoughts as it airs when we get to that point.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll be sending Canuck here some screenshots and videos, if not the whole episode, if he wants to see them. I know they put them up on YouTube for free, so anybody that wants to check them out, just look up Ultraman Arc when it starts.
And even for folks who struggle with subtitles, Subarai has been very good with simulcasting with a dub as well.
Yep.
That's cool. That's nice and accessible.
All right. You wanted to discuss some comic book news as well, right, MM?
Godzilla vs. Power Rangers 2 hit, or is starting to hit, which I have not read the first one yet, but just the general thoughts of the new Rangers that are based on the Kaiju and Godzilla wearing the Dragon Zord armor.
It's so cool.
It's pretty rad. I'm not a big Power Rangers fan. That being said, there is like something undeniably cool about that crossover. I feel like that's something every kid who liked monster movies or tokusatsu in the 90s kind of dreamt of. So it's cool to see it being realized in one format at least.
Definitely. I know, because we always talk about Godzilla versus Gamera and Godzilla versus Ultraman, and then like Power Rangers falls to the wayside until now. And I remember we had somebody online, I think it was on DeviantArt, somebody was making Power Rangers, or Godzilla inspired Power Rangers, I should say. And I don't know if they're involved with this or not, but I don't know. I like the designs. Godzilla as the Green Ranger is pretty cool too, with Rodan as actually taking lead of the Rangers themselves as the Red.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know, like the cover where you see the Yellow Ranger is inspired by Baragon. There's little marks on the cover to indicate that the Yellow Ranger's making a noise, and I'm wondering if that's an homage to the behind the scenes of GMK.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. I couldn't imagine it not being.
You know, when I first seen it, I mentioned that I thought the Black Ranger was Monster X, only because I thought the part of I think the helmet or the shoulders have, I guess, white versions of King Caesar's fur, which I thought was Monster X's side heads.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we also were thinking that there was Destoroyah in there.
Yeah.
But it turns out that that's Rodan.
Which it's kind of nice, though. That means, like, all the Kaiju that are Zords are, like, the good ones.
Yeah.
So there's not, like, a weird, oh, well, Destoroyah is the head of the heroes now.
Yeah. But no, this is so cool. You saw me, I don't know if you saw me on the Discord being like, Kyle, please get this made. Like, I got Godzilla wearing the Dragon Zord armor. Oh my god.
I would probably buy 2 of each Zord, just so I could, if they do combinations, just so I could have the regular Kaiju Zord, man, I can't say that, and the combined form of the Megazord.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't followed the first comic, but apparently it was successful enough to get the second one made. So clearly something's working.
I know the first one ends with a multiverse thing where they see like GMK Godzilla. I only know that because I skipped to the back page when I got the trade paperback, but I haven't read it yet. I don't know if that's gonna go into Power Rangers 2 or not. But I know Space Godzilla pops up in it somehow, so they might still be doing something with the multiverse. It'd be kind of cool to see GMK Godzilla come in and just start fighting. For like,
yeah, that would be kind of cool. Yeah.
Aliens. Yeah, Rita.
Space Godzilla, eh? Space Godzilla confirmed?
Space Godzilla confirmed.
All right, DangerVille.
We still got a little bit more news to work through before we get to that fun.
Yeah. What was the other that we were supposed to talk? Oh, STEM, Save the Earth Melee. The guys over there doing God's work.
Can you, for those who may not be aware, because when you first told me, like, hey, I want to talk about STEM, and I was like, you mean like science, technology, engineering, and math?
That's exactly what I thought about. I was like, wow, that's a bold topic to bring up.
Yeah, so
that just shows the big brains here. No, Save the Earth Melee. It's a fan. I don't want to say recreation, but it's like an upgrade to Save the Earth. It looks amazing. The not CGI, but the game models, the renders and everything, the new skins they're doing. Have you guys seen any of that?
I've seen a little bit
on my Twitter timeline.
They're even doing the scene from Godzilla vs. Gigan where Anguirus and Godzilla are talking. That's even getting put into the game. I don't know how, because I'm not following it as well as I should, but every single thing I see in that is just amazing. I would buy that instantly if it would actually get a big release. But unfortunately, it can't because it's fan-made.
Right, yeah.
I just hope Toho doesn't come in, nuke it out of the blue.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, do you know how they've managed to get away with this? Is it because it's not... It can't be that it's not for profit.
It's not. I know they release it for free. They've been making it for years now. I know they did a Godzilla Unleashed overhaul before this.
Yeah.
So, and that got finished. So, either Toho can't stop them, or someone at Toho is watching and like, hey, this is actually kind of cool, which I kind of like too.
Interesting. Yeah, no, like I've seen it pop across my timeline. Look, they're doing all the models, which is really cool. Like they got the the DS versions of Orga and Millennium Goji.
Yeah, we saw footage of that actually, and then they've released manuals or like scans of the manuals or something like that with the different skins that they're putting on for each kaiju. Almost every single kaiju that has a DS model is having that skin also. So you'll have the classic, like, Save the Earth cities and stuff with these goofy-looking cartoon models. It's so stupid, but it's awesome. Like, love it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like they're also investing a lot of time into, like, actually balancing the characters.
Yeah. They're changing movesets up. They're splitting characters apart. Like, now there's 2 different Anguiruses. I would imagine that's because Anguirus is a tank in Save the Earth. So I don't know all the details of it, but they are changing up the movesets. Like, I know Destoroyah flies now, and Jet Jaguar flies now.
Cool.
They're even adding Gorgo as a skin for Godzilla 54, and that threw me through a little loop when I saw that. But that's like all the details they're putting into that game. Love it. Love watching it.
I love me some Gorgo.
Do you follow any of the Titanic creation stuff, Kumo?
Not really. Like, I mean, I like collecting toys and stuff like that, but I'm not really embedded into that side of things. I just, if I see a figure pop up, I buy it. I'm not too invested in certain creators and whatnot.
Okay. Did you see that they're making a comic?
I didn't see they were making a comic, actually.
Yeah, I think it's coming out. If it's not next month, then it's June. But it's called, like, Gorgo Legacy, I think.
Have we seen scans from it?
So I believe if you purchase their comic Gorgo, then you were going to receive a 5-page preview of the comic when it was ready. So I haven't received that yet because I did purchase it. But they've posted some panels on their Twitter.
So is it in continuity with the old Charleston comics, or is it a separate thing entirely?
I believe it is a separate. I believe it's a separate continuity that aligns with their own original characters' continuity.
Okay, still neat. I mean,
Wonder-
I'd read that. I need more Gorgo content. Maybe someday we can do an episode on that movie, because that is a film that is very near and dear to me.
That's a great movie.
It is.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I'm not sure where I might find
It's on
a.
YouTube.
Oh, is
It's
it
on-
actually? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
And
I
if
only
you're
know
a
that because I've watched it at work a couple times.
And if you're a physical media collector, Vinegar Syndrome did a very, very nice 4K release of it recently.
Okay, that's good to know because I just watched Yongari today for the first time.
Oh, what do you think?
Oh,
I think it is one of the kaiju films of all time.
Yep.
it's got one of the most
I think-
weirdly mean-spirited endings I've ever seen to a movie.
Rectal bleeding.
Yeah,
He
Jesus.
dies from rectal bleeding.
Yeah, it's the design is cool. I love the creature design.
It's fun.
It's just it gets very bizarre like after the whole dancing scene.
I remember being very confused by it as a kid, because it opens up with 20 minutes of preamble about a space mission, and I used to think, oh, they're going to find Yongari in space, but no, he's like an underground kaiju. It's very, very odd.
Yeah. So they're gonna launch their Yongari on Tuesday. I'm doing a release party live stream when it's gonna go live. But I was like, I should probably watch the movie first.
Now you need to see the remake from 1999.
There was a remake?
Sort
Yeah.
of.
It's called Reptilian. In the
Well-
US, it was released as Reptilian.
Yeah, basically this
Okay.
guy named Chung Hung Ray, who was a comedian in South Korea, wanted to do Korea's first big blockbuster. And he
Okay.
did it. He had American actors, and they used what they thought was cutting edge CGI. And it's an experience.
It's cutting edge something.
It
It's
does
something.
have a really, really cool kaiju at the end that Yongari fights.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Kaiju
Psychor?
called Psychor. Yeah.
Yeah.
The design of Yongari is completely different. So don't go in there thinking it's the Showa or Heisei-fied Showa Yongari. It looks completely different.
Okay. Good to know.
All right. Well, should we get into the meat of this thing?
Oh, the heavyweight championship bout of the world.
Yep.
KaijuCanuck versus Steven's Toy Reviews.
What would you like to know, MM? Where do you want to start?
Oh, just general thoughts and everything.
Okay, here I'll tell you a little bit about why I made the video and discuss the topic the way that I did, because some people were asking why I didn't handle it in a more subtle or private way. So I can talk to you a little bit about that, and I can also tell you about what the past couple days have been like what I've observed, what the reception's been like. So folks were asking me why go about this in a very public manner, and I think it's worth breaking down into a couple different things. So first of all, somebody was suggesting why did you have to make a video that directly calls Steven out, for lack of a better term? I didn't personally feel like it was a call out. I thought I was criticizing a video.
I agree.
I don't think I was criticizing the person. Or no, we'll get into that. Anyway, so the question was why make a video? Why not just put out a video saying, hey, buy whatever you want to buy and be happy with it? Be unapologetic in liking the things that you like. And so I've been doing that to an extent for the past few months. If I see conversations going one way in the community, I try to make a video that pushes back and goes in a different direction. Sometimes they go well, sometimes they don't. And I felt like this would be a really strange one to handle in such broad terms, to just put out a video that says, hey, be unapologetic in what you want to buy. It's like, okay, like what's the trigger? Why is this video being made? So I didn't really like that. I thought it was a little bit too general, too vague. The second question is like, why address, like, why not just talk around it a little bit? Like, why the focus on Steven? Like, why couldn't you just say like, oh, like conversations are being had about this topic by certain members of the community? And to me, like, maybe Kumo can speak to this from like a production standpoint. I'm sure it relates at least a little bit to like putting media out there. I think that one of the worst things you can do as someone who creates things for an audience is to handle it in a way that presumes the audience is stupid. And so I don't want to put a video out there that's like, hey, like there's this one creator that I'm not going to name in the community putting out messaging that I think is counterproductive, but I'm not going to say who it is. I just want to talk about what they're saying. And it's like, okay, cool. And then like 25 seconds later, 90% of the audience knows I'm talking about Steven, but I still have 20 minutes of video left to go where I'm pretending like it's not Steven.
Yeah, I agree that like the best way to approach any subject is like in the most direct fashion possible. And if people perceive it as needlessly confrontational, then that's more so on them. I personally feel like you were just sharing information the way it should be shared.
You didn't come off as confrontational. You came off as more of a, you have room to improve. And I think that goes for virtually everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the goal, right? Like that was the goal of the video. It wasn't like, I think some people think I was being really mean-spirited. Some people think I was being like very, like that I was trying to trash on the guy. And I really wasn't. Like there's in the video, like there's a couple of like playful jabs at other things. Like, you know, it's like, oh, Super 7, the inarticulation series, right? Like I was trying to have a little bit of fun with it while also trying to address some actual concerns that I had about the video that Steven put out. If I really wanted to dunk on the guy, like I could have cut out 90% of that material. It could have just been like a 3-minute video of me telling Steven that he was a piece of shit for what he did. But I don't think that. Right? And so Steven and a couple other commenters were saying that like clearly I don't watch Steven's content. And that's strictly not true. I've watched Steven's content since 2023, the Destoroyah Evolution pack from SH Monster Arts. I've watched him for over 10 years. So I feel as though, like, let's assume, okay, this is not going to be a perfect model, but let's assume a little bit of a linear model that 10 years ago, his audience was 10 times let's say it was 1/10 of its size across 10 years. And it's not a great model because growth on YouTube, it can be exponential. It goes in different trends, but let's just assume that, right? Like 10 years ago, it was 1/10 the size. And I was one of those people. Well, his subscriber count, I believe, is around like 47,000, something like that. Which means that I would have been around when he had 4,700 subscribers. Which means that I am more familiar with Steven's content than the vast majority of his audience. So I am in a pretty good position. So he's at 49,000 subscribers. Okay. So let's assume 10 years ago he was at 4,900. Okay. And I was one of them.
Are you still one of them?
I'm still one of them. I'm still one of them. I enjoy Steven's reviews because he breaks down figures in very high detail. Right? Over the years, his production quality has skyrocketed. I actually think he's gotten more tame over the years. Because back then, like he'd get a bad NECA figure and he'd blow it up, or he got the alien from Monster Arts and he'd blow it up on camera.
I remember.
And it was entertaining. Right. So I actually can appreciate his growth as a content creator. And I think that he is one of the leading content creators in the category of reviewing kaiju collectibles and even other collectibles, because he does other stuff on the channel. Even though by and large the kaiju stuff is the more popular content, the reason you go to Steven to watch Steven's toy reviews. The thing about the video that he put out regarding the Godzilla and Kong Monster Arts figures is that it was the first time that I can perceive in a significant way that he directed his frustration away from the figures and the people making the figures toward the audience and toward the customers and towards the people that were buying them. It was, you should already have these because there's been enough opportunities. If you think that these actually look decent, then you need to reflect on the kind of collection you have. And if you've gotten through all this video and you still want them, then there's nothing left that I can say to change your mind, and you should go and have a great time. Like, go have fun. Like, to me, that was a step in the wrong direction. I stick by what I said in the video, that I think that Steven has wanted better from Monster Arts for so long, and it's not happening to his standard. So now he's frustrated at the people that are supporting the line rather than the company that's making the line. That is how I perceived it. And the things that I've just said, like what he says, like that is what he says, that there's been ample opportunity, that you should reflect on the standards that you have for your collection. And so that's why I made the video. And at its heart, the video, just to clarify for folks, the video is not a defense of Monster Arts. There's a lot of people that are reading it as that or watching it as that. But it could have been a video about anything. It could have been Super 7, it could have been Haya, it could have been NECA, it could have been Playmates, it could have been whatever. But at its heart, the video is about defending customers who buy the things that bring them joy and the things that they want to buy. And so I pointed out very specific reasons for why Steven's arguments didn't necessarily hold up and weren't necessarily in good faith. And I didn't mean to do it in a way that attacked the guy. And I don't think that I did. With one exception, I actually went and I cut out about 45 seconds toward the end of the video. So if you watch that video on the day that it went out, if you go back to it now, it is actually 45 seconds shorter. So I was able to edit it without ever taking it down. I think that if you watch it, you might notice that something is gone, but you won't feel like something is missing. Because I feel like that chunk was erring on the side of personal attack. And I was like, I'm not really happy about that. And I don't think it adds to the video. So I actually took that out because I just really want to stay away from personally attacking Steven. Because I don't fundamentally think that Steven is a bad person.
No, he seems like a pretty chill guy. Like, I'm in, as you know, both of you know, I'm in the Discord with him. Like, STR server. I shitpost more often than not gonna lie, especially with the Bandai conspiracy theory memes and everything in there that get flung around. Yeah. But whenever he handles stuff, myself included or others, he seems to be a pretty fine guy. It's just, I think when he heard, and I would do the same exact thing. I mean, you two know me. If somebody puts a video up, like, going after me right away, I would probably knee-jerk and be like, shut the fuck up, I don't know who the hell you are, and stuff like that. But after a while, and I think Steven will eventually do the same, at least I hope so, is just listen to it and try and grasp at what you're saying. But then he posted that other thing that I think you posted it. You gave it to us?
Yeah, so let's get into, okay. Because we talked about how I don't attack Steven as a person. I attack his points, and I've even edited my live video to try and steer it back toward that. So let's talk about why didn't I handle this privately, and I'll talk to you about what the past couple days have been like, what I've been able to observe. So why didn't I handle this privately? Well, let me start off by saying that it's an interesting thing to see that when I did the Dr. Skipper video, who's a YouTuber that's like 10 times the size of Steven, nobody came out saying this should have been handled privately. And I think that was because the fandom as a whole was just like, yo, fuck this guy, fuck Dr. Skipper, this video is bullshit.
Which guy is Dr. Skipper, if I may ask?
He's the guy that did the video. He's like, Godzilla can't work in America.
All right, that
Oh,
dude.
God.
All right, yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah. So unanimously, everyone was like, screw this guy. And I think that's why no one was like, you need to handle this privately, right? Because it was just, everyone was pissed off. When it came to Steven, I got like a non-insignificant number of people being like, this should have been handled privately. Maybe it's because there are folks that really like what Steven has to say. I think that it's also because people are under the impression that like Steven and I are friends of some sort or colleagues of some sort, being content creators.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to clarify that Steven and I are not friends. And this is not for lack of trying on my part. We are just two very different people. I can think of one interaction that we've had where he told me congratulations on the birth of my daughter. Not like he did it as other people were doing it in his Discord server. He mentioned that to me. I was like, thanks, man. But by and large, our interactions have varied from neutral to unpleasant, and all of our interactions have been public. On I've tried to sort of. I would like to be friends with people, with content creators in this space. Like, I'm really thankful to have the folks at like Herald the Figure Mania show. Shinrub Jira, we've done a live stream together. We chat here and there on Twitter. Again, it's all public. But like when it comes to Steven, I'm not really sure why I usually get like a very cold response. And sometimes like when I'm posting things on Twitter, he doesn't follow me on Twitter, but like if he finds something that I've posted that he's disagreeable to, like he'll reply to me. Like there was one in the video, like I was sharing how I was kind of like bummed out by the state of discourse with Godzilla collecting and talking about what my experience with the discourse has been. And he replied to it just being like, I don't really get that. Doesn't happen to me. I don't see it. Like, why? Like, how many disagreeable things I see on Twitter every day that I don't reply to? Like, it's dozens, if not hundreds. Like, why come after me saying, hey, this is what my experience has been like, just to say, nah, I don't see it. It's not happening to me. Right. And so another thing, like the end of his video, he talks about how, you could, for the money that you would spend on the Monster Arts figures, you could buy yourself and people at a charity. You could buy these Playmates toys and you could donate them, which I think is fine, right? Like I don't have issue with that part of the video. People can do what they want with their money. It's a great thing that Steven is advocating for. But in his Discord server, when I have said like that, when they were doing like a trade show for Playmate stuff and I was excited about some of the offerings, like he was straight up asking me like, why are you so excited about these? Like, am I allowed to be excited about Godzilla collectibles or not? Godzilla toys or not? Like why? Everyone else is talking about it in the thread, but he replies to me. It's like, why are you excited about it? So, I've told Steven, that I love watching his videos on my TV in the living room. I like watching his reviews. There was a time last year where he posted, he was like, hey, I'm trying to look for this one Super 7 figure. If anyone, it's a little bit older, if anyone can figure out where it is, send me a link. And I sent him 3 Canadian links. I was like, hey man, like I've only got Canadian links, but they ship to the US and your conversion rate is really good. For anyone who's unaware, the Canadian conversion to American, for every American dollar, you get $1.35 Canadian. So that's our conversion right now. So I sent it to him. I was like, I don't know if this will help, but like, here's a couple Canadian e-tailers that have it. And he's like, oh, hey, like I was able to find one, but thanks. Like I've tried to be friendly towards Steven. Like if I can't be his friend, like I'd at least not to be. I'd like to not be his enemy. But our relationship has been very. I don't know if tense is the right word, but it's almost like our relationship is non-existent. I would say.
It sounds like a rivalry.
I don't think of it. We do very different things. I'm not in the review space, and he's not. Well, he's kind of in the discussion space, but I think that I do discussion videos more often than he does. So that's why I didn't handle it privately, because we're not friends. We don't really have a professional relationship. I have nothing like against the guy, and to this day, even after this video has gone live, I still think I still think that he's one of the leading content creators in the kaiju collecting reviewing space. I would love to see his channel continue to improve. I thought I provided some really good examples in my video of ways that he could do that. But yeah, so that's why it wasn't handled privately, because okay, well no, here's the other thing. The thing I mentioned in the video is that when I do have conversations with him on Discord, my words get misconstrued. I showed the example when we were having the discussion around Gabara, of all characters, and how I would say one thing and he would be like, "Oh, so you're saying this?" And I'm like, "No, that's not what I'm saying." Like, you can look at the conversation. It's like, I'm clearly not saying that. And so somebody in the Hugbox Discord, they were like, yeah, I went into his server and I checked that conversation history to make sure that I wasn't, missing out on any important context. And it was exactly how you said it. It was, you were saying one thing and he was taking it as something completely different. So, like, again, I don't know why.
He might have been trolling you. I'm only saying that because I've done, like, you guys know, like, some of the stuff I've done in the past on, like, TK and stuff. And some of the ways I would troll people is that's one of the things I would do. I'm not saying that's what Steven was doing, but that...
Yeah,
I don't know why he would do that.
I'm receptive to that idea because I have seen him not troll, but like I've seen him be playful in how he responds and has conversations with folks. But the conversation we were having, it was not. I did not get the sense that it was a playful.
No, that definitely wasn't. That was purposely like trying to piss you off. Like
yeah. So, and what people might not have, what people outside of the Discord server have certainly not seen is, but as him and I are having this conversation, like there's 2 or 3 other people that are replying to my messages and being like, well, what about this? And what about that? It's like, no, I'm talking to Steven. Right. And if Steven is going to misconstrue my words publicly, I do not want to have a private conversation that no one else is going to see.
Yep. That's valid. It's very valid.
So that's where I'm coming from and why I did the thing publicly. Why I didn't approach him in public or in private. I still fundamentally believe that the video is not that big of a deal. I did say that the video is irresponsible because I think that it is. I didn't say that Steven himself was irresponsible. But any video of reviewing a product where you turn to the customer and say, you have to review your standards if you think that these things look good. When you have a following of as many people as Steven does, I think that was an unproductive way to handle the topic. And so I put out my own video.
Yeah.
And the YouTube audience can decide what for themselves what they think. If 1/10 of Steven's subscribers came to my video and told me that I was wrong and they downvoted the video, like that's the beauty of YouTube, is that people can decide. So maybe we can get into what the past couple days have looked like. I can tell you about the reception of the video, because that's not been what has happened. By and large, people have been very constructive in their comments. I have deleted 1 or 2 comments that were cruel. not towards me, towards Steven. They were replying to Steven's comment being like, oh, sending you hate from LA, like I hope all this bad stuff. And I've deleted those because I mentioned it twice in the video that I would not stand for that. And it's generally unproductive when I want the video to be a productive thing. So by and large, people are very constructive. I would say that the vast majority of people came to that video and the vast majority of people that left a comment said that like they agreed with me, if not completely, then like for the most part. There is another subset of people who came in, very small subset of people who came in and were like, no, Steven is right in this, and I disagree with what you've said, which is fine. When you talk about important things, not everyone's going to be on the same page, and I'm not there to get everyone on my side, because maybe we'll get to it, maybe we won't. Like even like you found things disagreeable about what I posted, which is fine. Again, that's totally fine. But so anyways, so this very small subset of people thought that I was completely out of touch, and that Steven was in the right. Totally fine with that. There is another group of people, and I think that this is the most interesting group of people, who were not completely on board with what I had to say, but then they saw Steven's response to the video and became really frustrated with him.
Yeah, the thing he put out where he's like listing off his credentials and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
that there is just, come on, man. That's
that was one of two responses, I would say. So the first one was he posted the meme. He said, "I'm not watching all that. I'm happy for you," or "Sorry that happened." Which, if you're unfamiliar with the meme, it just seems like a strange comment to leave. But so that was the thing that he posted, and everybody, there's a whole long list of people replying to that, saying like, Steven, it's not that bad. If you want to get a sense of like what people, of how you might come across to your audience, you should watch the video. It's not that bad. It's constructive. It's not shitting on you as a person. Please consider watching it. So that was the one response. The second response was to the comment around him doing better as a toy reviewer, in which he lists off a bunch of his credentials and cites them as a reason that he does not perceive that he, short of getting a PhD, he doesn't believe that he can do better, that he can do no more.
That's a very bad mindset. That's
a
horrible mindset.
So there are three things wrong with that off the top of my head. The first is that his credentials include his education. He lists that he has a Bachelor of Science. And that only means something if you think that a Bachelor of Science is worth something. Right? And I think most of us do, that a Bachelor of Science is worth something, but there's quite a few people who don't. You could look at how many Bachelors of Science students are graduated every year. Like it's in the hundreds of thousands.
But what's that have to do with toy review?
So this is the second point, is that the credentials have to be related to the topic of discussion. Like you have a Bachelor of Science, cool. But unless you have like a degree in geography, which is one of the points that I talked about, geographic availability of these things, the Bachelor of Science doesn't mean anything. It literally means nothing. Like he's saying like, oh, I studied under all these, really important people, which I'm sure he did, but it's completely unrelated to the topic at hand. And the third thing, which is probably the most damaging, and the reason you don't want to do this, is because if you show me a long list of the credentials that you have, and you're still wrong about this, that makes you look really bad, and it makes the credentials look less valuable. So that was for someone who did not watch the video and then listed off a bunch of credentials for how he believed he couldn't do better. That was a really poor strategic move.
It's like if somebody was dying and you're asking for a doctor and somebody starts saying how they're a good mechanic.
No, they're like, I'm a doctorate in math. Like, no, we need a medical doctor. It's like, oh no, Pythagorean theorem. So those were his responses to the video. They're problematic for different reasons. Other than that, like, the video has people have been very constructive. I had somebody today who wrote a very, very long comment talking about how they came in, they were assuming that I was going to be defending Monster Arts. And they were like, oh, I thought you were just going to be a shill for Bandai. And then they watched the video and they were like, no, that's not what it was about. And I actually feel really bad about it, thinking that was going to be assuming that that's what you were going to be doing. And I was just like, hey man, like, I appreciate you, like, keeping an open mind as you watch the video. So where I stand with it is, like, I do hope that Steven watches it at some point. I am really surprised by the way he responded. I think that the way that he responded will probably I don't think it will damage him in any long term with any long-term consequences, but I think that there are problems with it. And I'm not saying that my video was perfect or that my points are inarguable. So there's someone in the community, his name is Rob. It's not Shin Rob Jira. His name is your boy Shamoy. You probably see his name floating around here and there. But like, he's been a long time viewer, and we're very cordial on online. But he was like, hey man, like, I don't agree with a lot of what you said, but I understand your concerns. You know, I don't think that I feel numb to the point about cherry picking, because I feel like you cherry picked examples where Steven has not liked Bandai's products. And I feel like that's a valid point of conversation that we can have about the video. And I wish that I'd be happy to talk to Rob about it. I don't think he particularly cares to have the conversation with me about it. But like, if Steven had said that to me, I'd be like, okay, like, let's talk about it at least. But he just straight up is like, I'm not watching this video, and also here's a long list of my credentials and how I can't improve. Oh, and then the other thing he said was, show me the law that tells me I need to improve, and I will do so. Which, if you use the law as like a guiding light for how you should conduct yourself, like, we all know that the law is full of holes. There are billionaires that don't pay their taxes because the laws are not a good place to base your morals off of.
Then they run for office.
And then they run for office. Exactly. So just to round everything off, like, I don't hate Steven. But we're not friends by any means, and that's why I handled it the way that I did. I would love to see him continue to improve as a toy reviewer. I made the video because I felt very strongly that he was taking a turn with this review for the worse. I think that I think that video is meant to be a defense of the customer. It is not meant to be watched as a defense of Monster Arts. If you are watching it as a defense of Monster Arts, you are watching it wrong. The reason I did the unboxing on camera was because I had never handled that mold before, and if I opened it up and it was a piece of shit, I would be like, okay, I'm much more sympathetic, but it wasn't. So if Steven wants, I think that Steven should delete his comments on my video, because I think they're doing more harm than good. If he watches it in the future, which I hope he does, like, I'm not even hoping for, if he decides never to respond to it and never to talk to me about it publicly or privately, that's totally fine. I hope that he just has an open mind at some point around it. And that's pretty much everything that I had to say about the video. I don't know, Kumo, I don't even know if you watched the thing. I don't even know if you know what's going on. But
it's been really fun, like, just sitting back and catching up on this stuff. Like, you know, it's
entertaining.
Yeah, it is. I love. This makes me sound like a terrible person, but there is something delightful about internet discourse to me.
Yeah.
In like a like a sadistic kind of way, I think.
Yeah,
It's like it's a train wreck. You don't want to see it happen. You don't want to look at it, but when a train wreck happens, you're just kind of.
I'm just
You
I'm
don't
just
see
a
that
sick
very often.
I'm just a sick bitch. I just like to see shit happen.
my thing with the video, like I agree with you entirely on the Steven stuff. My issues on what I disagreed with is when you were saying it wasn't so much. I'm trying to figure out how to actually properly say this. It didn't involve Godzilla Evolve, well, not Evolve, but Godzilla 24 that you got. Because I do think that one looks better than the Godzilla 21.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember Godzilla -1? When that figure came out and it got revealed and everything, and then you had like eyeballs painted on the sides of the face and everything.
I do remember this.
And you still have people that will defend that figure.
Yes.
Like the fact that people are defending that figure and are still actively buying it, that blows my mind. Like
right.
that,
So what? I don't know if I talked about that figure.
you didn't. Yeah, it was. That's why I was trying to find a way to get to talk about that one, because what you were saying involves that figure more so than it does Godzilla versus Godzilla X Kongs, because the Kong and the Godzilla look good. They're just unneeded.
They're unneeded in the United States.
Yes,
that's the point.
Yes, yeah, but I agree with you on that. I
100,
and plus I again go back to saying the new Godzilla looks better than the last one, from the Godzilla versus Kong with the toothpaste mouth. I've been thinking it's horrible looking. I've been thinking of upgrading to the Godzilla X Kong one. But going back to from people should be buying what they like, and then they're actively supporting Godzilla -1's monster arts, which is a shit show.
So I think the point perhaps the point that could apply to -1 that I said in my video, that perhaps that's what activated your almonds, so to speak, is is yeah, it's uncomfortable. That's an uncomfortable expression, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So I said in the video, if a company makes a good for a targeted customer, and that targeted customer is buying the good in droves without issue, where is the problem exactly? That was the excerpt from the video. Is that the
that's
okay? So so in my original script for this video, I actually did talk about -1 a little bit. Off the top of your head, how many units of -1 monster arts do you think were made? Roughly.
Probably a couple thousand.
I would venture, let's say 5,000. Let's say 5,000 units were made. The standard defect rate, meaning that there is something significantly wrong with the figure, is 5% industry standard. Which means for 5,000 units, there are 250 of these things out there that have significant issues. We're talking eyes are printed on the cheek. We were talking about the spines being sheared off in the package. All the things that these people are reporting. 250 out there. Are you more likely to hear from the 4,750 people who bought their unit and are completely happy with it? Or are you more likely to hear from the 250 people that got a bad one that are complaining about it online, right? Like they'll take it to Twitter, they'll take it to Discord, they'll take it to Facebook, and they'll post it and be like, look at this. SH Monster Arts is in shambles, right? Okay. Meanwhile, over 4,700 people have these things in hand, and they're completely happy with it.
All right, now can I counter that real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
how come we don't hear the same level of complaints for Godzilla 72, Showa Gigan, Showa Hedra, the Gamera Rebirth? When Monster Arts cooks, it cooks. Like, Godzilla 72 is amazing. And I don't think I've seen anybody have any actual real trouble except for like maybe some teeth issues, I think. Compared to like Godzilla -1 and even the Monster Arts figures that come out that seem to almost always have flaws. Again, I don't have the new ones, but going back to Godzilla versus Kong's toothpaste mouth, it seems like, I don't want to say Tamashii cares more about Showa, but it seems like Tamashii, when it comes to the ones that are guaranteed sellers, the ones like -1, they got the MonsterVerse stuff, they're half-assed. It's like they go to the factory where they're paying the workers minimum wage for whatever country it is, and they're pooping them out as fast as possible, while the ones that are in like high demand from the fans, the ones that are always going about, oh, but my Showa, and that's the Godzilla 72 and the Gigan and the Hedra. Those ones are coming out amazing. So why are the Showa ones amazing, and we hardly have any real flaws with them compared to the Godzilla versus Kong stuff, Godzilla X Kong, I would imagine, I don't know. And even Shin Godzilla's original release was just horrible.
Right. Yeah. So I'll answer the question, but let me go over what actually came out last year, because -1 was toward the end of the year. But last year you had Mecha King Ghidorah Decisive Battle version. You had Shin Night Awakening, whatever, not Awakening, Night version. You had Gigan. You had Godzilla 1991 Shinjuku Decisive Battle. You had -1. Technically the Japanese release of the Mechagodzilla and Rodan set. You had Gamera Rebirth, and you had Iris.
I know Iris had some issues.
Iris had some issues. -1 had some issues. But how many of those other ones would you say were problematic?
All the non-MonsterVerse new stuff.
All the MonsterVerse.
Well, no. So the ones that for like new stuff, the MonsterVerse stuff, those ones almost always seem to have issues.
No, so those are this year. But last year, you had Mecha King Ghidorah. I think
that was
went over fine.
Yep.
Night Battle Shin, which I think people were fine with.
Yep.
Gigan, which I think people really liked.
Yep.
I don't follow the Monster Arts discourse too much, so you'll have to. I only know.
Yeah,
I know when people are upset, but I never know when people are happy. 1991 Shinjuku, I thought people were okay with.
It's just a lot of the newer stuff, like -1, Godzilla vs. Kong stuff. That's the stuff that really has issues. I know, like, there's some other examples, like Final Wars Goji has some.
Is it versus Kong or X Kong?
I don't have the Godzilla X Kong, so I'm not talking off of that one. Okay. I'm just talking off of the Godzilla vs. Kong, the toothpaste mouth one, Crest Goji.
Yes. Yeah, so I didn't hear... I heard about Kong's issues with the drop-down hips breaking. But I didn't hear about, like, quality issues with the Godzilla.
It's just the paint apps on the Godzilla.
The paint apps are just fucking horrible, right? But they're intentional. Somehow. Somehow someone looked at it and was like, yeah, do that. So anyway, my point is, like, if you look at last year, like, -1 stands out as a not great example. Like, it probably had a disproportionate number of issues. Like, when you have spines that are sheared off in the box, it's some kind of factory. It has to be. Those spines are made of a flexible material. Like, how are they being sheared off?
It could actually just be from shipping, because I don't think there's any. I don't have -1. But I don't think there's any, like, protective plastic or anything around the spines, is there?
I think that there's an air bubble, but maybe Japan just has different standards, but like Kyle's talked about it in Discord about how Super 7 products have to be packaged in a way that you can drop them safely and the thing doesn't break. So they have to be designed for drop testing. So I don't know if
that with Monster Arts.
No, God, no, I wouldn't do that with Monster Art. I like you get them out of the package. I barely want to touch them. Like, can you imagine me dropping them in the box? But Iris, right? Nobody talks about like how problematic the Iris release is.
It seems like a lot of people don't have it. Like, I skipped it because I'm just not a big Iris fan.
Right, but it's twice the cost. It's more than twice the cost of -1. And if you look, plugging Steven's toy reviews here, if you look at Steven's video, he talks about how the engineering lends itself toward breaking. Like, it's not designed well.
Well, Iris is one of those monsters when you look at it. First off, there's a how would you make something like this heavily articulated in action figure form? And another question is, why would you do it? Because it's obviously not a monster that's, like, besides the tentacles, really lend itself to being a highly articulated figure. The suit doesn't move that much.
I 100% agree with you. I have no idea why they did Iris before Gauss. It makes no sense to me. But it was the hips. The hips on Iris are prone to breakage, and they're engineered in a way that there's a significant risk that you will break the hips.
Like dropping the box.
Yeah, like dropping the box, or just changing between its normal form and its flying form. So was -1 like disproportionately suffering from quality control issues? I think so. Like, we talk about industry standards 5%. It's very possible that -1 had more than that. But like, if you were to count the number of bad figures you see posted online, like, I think you would be hard pressed to hit double digits. It's just that the people that do post it are quite vocal about it, and perhaps it gets into the hands of someone who has a really large presence in the community.
That sounds like a challenge for somebody. Like, somebody just go out there and see if you can find over 100 different examples of a shitty -1 Goji.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it's a lot of work with not a whole lot of reward besides, like, you know,
don't waste
like,
your time.
Yeah, like satisfaction. But when the minus color version goes up on Bandai Premium and it sells out in less than 30 minutes, you gotta be asking yourself, like, am I missing something here?
As somebody who has the Super 7 pre-order going, and I am not canceling it, I feel like I am not missing anything with the minus Goji monster.
Oh, no. I don't mean, are you missing out on the figure? I mean, is there a piece of information I am missing about about the quality of the -1 release? Like, do I have all the information needed to make a judgment? And I'm not saying you need to answer the question. I think it's.
I'm thinking the gears in my head are.
It's a thought experiment.
Yeah,
it's a thought experiment.
The gears in my head are going right there, Mr. Big Brain over here.
So yeah. So that was that the big thing you found disagreeable with my video?
That was the main thing. Yeah, like, as I said, I agree with you on the Steven points. I messaged Steven, as you know, after it went live. I did that mainly because, like, I thought Steven's a cool guy. Like,
and maybe he is. Maybe he is, right? I don't know why we can't seem to get along online. You know, it's
just a thing. Like, people are like that.
It's yeah, like, you can have incompatible people, and maybe that's just the situation between us. If I wasn't a content creator, I'd be curious to see if him and I could get along better. But for the record, I have no ill will towards Steven. I made the video because I like Steven's content, and I found that particular part of that video not even unproductive, counterproductive. I found it counterproductive. It wasn't the kind of thing where it was like he said something, it contributed nothing to the conversation or to the community. I felt that it contributed something negative to the community, and it was worth talking about. So that's why I did it. I have no ill will towards the person. I wish that we were in circumstances where I felt like we could have a conversation one-on-one, but we're not.
We just need to get you, Kumo, myself, and Steven alone and just get some weed in all of us, and we'll sort it all.
Yeah, well, that'll be our homework. We all take a gummy and we just talk. And listen, I'm open to it. Okay, I'm open to the idea of chatting with Steven, because again, I don't want there to be any ill will. I don't want there to be any bad blood. I'm sure some people are going to hear me saying that and think like I'm just saying that for the sake of PR. The truth is, no. Like I have nothing to gain from making an enemy of Steven. I think Steven has nothing to gain from making an enemy of me.
Well, you both know exactly what you're talking about. You're both big brains. Like, you know the details of stuff. Steven knows. I'm a collector, but I don't know all the insides and outsides of the toy manufacturing world like you do. All I know is, compared to like some of the experience I have working in manufacturing in whatever little factories I work in here in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of stuff I might say is wrong. Like right there when you were saying about the -1 Goji release and everything, and I kind of shut down because I was trying to think about what you were saying. That's why when you get two people that have different opinions and different thoughts on things, it's not just entertaining, but it gets more information out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I agree with you 100%. I think that I think that the world could use more of having people with different perspectives or opinions in the room and having productive conversations. Because to me, the goal is not to win or lose. The goal is to have a productive conversation. That's all I'm trying to do with my YouTube channel, is I want to have productive conversations about the state of the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be a good segue into our next topic.
Yes, take it away, podcaster master.
Don't. So these guys here know of my feelings on a certain YouTube channel, DangerVille.
Yes.
I do not watch them. I've seen their videos up a little bit back during the recommendations, and I eventually blocked them. And I blocked them back in 2021, 2022 or so, because they made a video saying Space Godzilla, the next MonsterVerse villain explained, or something like that. And it pushed my buttons. And I know there's going to be people out there that either listen to this now or they're going to listen to it in the future, and they're going to say, oh, well, these guys are just mad because DangerVille is so successful and they're not. And you're just jealous. And, like, you're right, I am jealous over this. Because these guys have over 500,000 subscribers. Their videos get 300, 200,000 views or whatever. So I don't know the money that they're making off these videos. Mm-hmm. But Kumo and I, over the past week, have went through and picked out a handful of videos, whatever, to watch. And I've taken notes for all these. The first one was that same exact one that turned me off of DangerVille completely without even having to see them, was the Space Godzilla one.
Right.
First off, the entire thing has a tracking effect on it, like it's an old VHS.
Oh. Yeah, there was like a weird sense of nostalgia baitiness to something that really doesn't need it. Like, it was tonally unfitting.
Like, maybe if it was like a 1970s movie or so, sure, but no. Yeah. Then the actual information for Space Godzilla, before they get into how he was hinted at, it's just basic information. It's like somebody watched the movie once, waited a couple days, and then did like a synopsis. There was no mention of like the details of Space Godzilla's powers, his regeneration, any of his appearances in comic books up to that point. There's nothing. They don't even mention when they're going over Space Godzilla's origins, and they mention Biollante and Mothra. When they're talking about how Space Godzilla gets defeated, guess what? They do not mention Biollante's spores coming from Space Godzilla at all. So, like, this whole thing it's not even just clickbait. It's giving you the least amount of info possible on Space Godzilla.
Right.
Then, what else do I have here? The entire hint for this of Godzilla versus Kong, or not Godzilla versus Kong, but for Space Godzilla in Godzilla X Kong, is just a small piece of concept art, which we've all seen 1,000 times, of a blue-winged Godzilla breathing fire.
Yes.
That's the big quote-unquote hint for Godzilla versus, or for Space Godzilla in Godzilla X Kong. There's nothing else. It's 10 minutes long, has 200,000 views. As we know now, a year later, Space Godzilla was not hinted at for Godzilla X Kong whatsoever.
Right. So real quick, is the video 10 minutes long? Do you know the exact time?
If you give me a second, I can look it up.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because for those who are unaware, the way YouTube ad placement works, if your video is up to but less than 8 minutes in duration, you don't get mid-roll ads. So that one ad plays before your video, and then that's it. If your video is 8 minutes at least or longer, you can now place mid-roll ads, which means that the ads that play in the middle of your video, and you can set the time placement of these ads, or you can let YouTube analyze your video and figure out where the best place is to put them.
The video is 10 minutes and 26 seconds long and has 371,000 views.
Okay. So yeah, you may notice this. Now that I've said it, you may notice this more often when you're browsing YouTube. You'll see videos that are 8 minutes and 1 second, 8 minutes and 3 seconds, 8 minutes and 4 seconds. People are trying very hard to get to that 8-minute mark so that they can include more ads and make more money off of each video. So it sounds like
they're making money off of nothing.
So their videos past that 8-minute threshold, which means they can run mid-roll ads. So here I have my back end here. I can probably give you a decent approximation of how much money that video is made. So let's say, okay, so this divided by 3.5, because mine's all in Canadian dollars. And then this is my most successful video. It's got 92.1 thousand views. How many views? Tell me exactly how many views this video has.
Let me go back to it. YouTube says 371,000 or 371K.
371.
Yes.
Okay. So this times 371. This is gonna piss you off, MM.
Oh, I already know it's gonna piss me off.
This is gonna piss you off. That video, ballpark. So, like, I would say plus or minus 20%. Ballpark is $1,223.
Yeah. See, fuck these guys. All right, so here's the next one. Kumo and I did the Godzilla versus Gigan one.
Okay.
We did these one day apart because I couldn't stomach it. Again, all very superficial information on Gigan. No detailing of the main differences between Showa and Final Wars. No mentioning of like various comics. It glosses over Zone Fighter's appearance by not even saying
Oh
Zone
my
Fighter
God.
in the title, but
Well,
just
yeah.
saying the series is not connected to the mainstream Godzilla series, which is just outright
Yeah,
wrong.
like, never mind the fact that it was also produced by Toho and those episodes were directed by Ishiro Honda.
And shows the fate of Gigan in the Showa era, where he gets killed by Zone Fighter and Godzilla.
Right.
So, the whole hint for Gigan in Godzilla X Kong was concept art found in the art book of 2019's King of the Monsters. So we already knew about this.
Yes. I've seen that.
And that was the big hint for Gigan in Godzilla X Kong. If that's the big hint for Gigan in Godzilla X Kong, a movie that's from a different director, 5 years later, where's your video explaining Gamera for MonsterVerse? Because Gamera's in that same exact piece of concept art.
You're feeding them ideas. No, don't do it.
No, well, if they do it, it solidifies what I'm saying. That one has 1,119 or 119. Yeah. Good. I hope they blew it. So then you sent me another one for Destoroyah confirmed for Godzilla X Kong sequel. I just want to do a shout out to DangerVille real quick for using AI art. Fuck you.
Ooh.
So the entire confirmed for Godzilla X Kong is based entirely on Wingard's interview where he says Godzilla vs. Destoroyah is one of his favorite movies and he wants his next movie to be more involved with Godzilla. There's no actual confirmation at all that Destoroyah is the next monster. It's then back to the same old theories from 2019 involving the oxygen destroyer when it was used on Godzilla and King Ghidorah. Again, That's not confirmation on anything that's been talked about for years. So then what else do my notes here say? The rest of the because Kumo and I only made it to about 5 minutes in.
Yeah, that one was hard to stomach.
After getting no information at all on what Destoroyah is and powers and stuff like that and why he is such a powerhouse monster, the video then goes back to Space Godzilla with the same exact bullshit tracking effects and the same bullshit hints that they used for Space Godzilla appearing in Godzilla X Kong. Once again, I want to say fuck this channel. And I want to say fuck this channel because of how much money they are making on it while doing the most absolute littlest things possible.
Yeah, so this is an interesting point for the folks listening at home because YouTube actually has a policy on reused content. You can only reuse your content one-to-one so many times. And so I've seen some Twitch streamers, for example, or YouTube gameplay channels. They get slapped on the wrist because they'll upload content from a stream or whatever, and then they'll do a monthly best of compilation or best of 2023 compilation, and they'll get slapped because the footage that they include in their most recent upload is exactly the same as it was in its original upload, and so you'll get warnings about that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting that they're playing that game. How many views does this one have?
The Space Godzilla one,
or the Destoroyah one?
Oh yeah, this. Give me 1 second. All right, here it is. This one was just put up 2 days ago.
Okay.
It has 67,000, 67K. And
Okay, so
it
as of right
is,
now, it's probably made $270.
and it's a little over 10 minutes long.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Probably.
so like this could be. I'm not going to do it, obviously, but when I looked for DangerVille Destoroyah, right underneath it, here is another one. New monster confirmed. Godzilla X Kong update. Guess who the thumbnail is?
It's Varen, clearly.
No, it's fucking Destoroyah. Like, people, I'm sorry I drop F-bombs so much, but I do that when I get, like, mad. And this is one of them situations in this fandom that gets me, my blood boiling. When Kumo was saying about wanting me to go unhinged, this is it.
This is the kind of stuff.
For context, in the Discord server, some nights when we're watching stuff, MM will go on some very interesting rants, and they're usually the highlight of my night. So I want to share that with the world right now. Please be unhinged for us.
Like, I've been part of the fandom since 2002, 2003, when I was, like, 13, give or take. So there's been hundreds, well, maybe at least probably 20 anyway, websites that have been made in that time that have been Godzilla for the Godzilla community. You had Rodan's Roost, Goji Stomp, Toho Kingdom. You have great YouTubers out there that give a lot of information, like Monster Island Buddies. I love those guys. You have all this great stuff, but then you have these dipshits come in, and they're pulling thousands of dollars for nothing burger videos that have shitty ass AI art for their icons or their whatever, the thumbnails. It's ridiculous. It does piss me off.
Well, so Kumo, as the other person in the room that has watched and done MM's homework.
Yeah. So my biggest frustration with it is the fact that it is like, let's say the average video is 6 to 10 minutes, roughly. At least 70% of that time will be spent summarizing the monster in question rather than providing the information that the viewer came here for. And it just feels very lazy. And if there's one thing that I don't think any form of media that is meant to be sharing information should be, it's laziness. So there's just an inherent sense of annoyance from me towards it for that reason.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who's like on this content creation journey, I'm discouraged by folks who can get so many views and make so much money contributing very little to conversation. So here's actually, so I have a question for you both. So I was talking about it a little bit before. I think that there are videos you can put out there that are productive. I think that there are videos you can put out there that are unproductive. And then there are videos out there that I think that you can put out that are counterproductive. Like they do more harm than something than doing like literally nothing. DangerVille's content, for each of you, would you classify this under unproductive or counterproductive to the state of the fandom?
So I'm going to personally go with counterproductive, and that's only because I feel like it derails chances and opportunities for actual conversation about, you know, not only the media that we ingest, but this very specific form of it, which is speculation. Because, you know, some fan speculation stuff, it can be annoying in its own way, but I think if there's an actual attempt to discuss where a narrative could go, then it has inherent value to it, and this just completely derails that in my eyes.
Well, you don't even get good information from the stuff. It's, like as you said, the synopsises and stuff that we are given for the monsters, it's so light. Like the old Godzilla Compendium from 1997 had more information in its Space Godzilla bio found at the very end of the book with a 1-paragraph history. Had more information on Space Godzilla than that entire Space Godzilla video did.
Well, 2 videos apparently.
Yeah.
So, are you saying unproductive or counterproductive?
Counterproductive,
Counterproductive.
100%. Because we didn't even say about the last one we did, which was it covered Godzilla X Kong and why did Godzilla attack Kong.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they made a video explaining why did Godzilla attack Kong. Godzilla X Kong lore explains. It is literally explaining what is explained in the movie.
Yeah.
You remember when I said that like one of the worst things you can do as a content creator is to make content that treats your audience as stupid? I feel like this, like treating your audience as if they haven't even watched the movie,
Yeah.
is kind of up there.
My knee-jerk reaction to the videos with Destoroyah, Gigan, and Space Godzilla is that these guys aren't fans.
Ooh.
Like these guys are just guys that went out. They know Godzilla's big right now. They know Godzilla's getting popular with the MonsterVerse. So they went out. They bought some of the movies. They're following the fans online, and then they're coming up with these bullshit theories that make really no sense. And that's why their information on the monsters has such very little information. Because if you look at their channel, there's nothing about any of the obscure kaiju. It's all the big ones. All the ones that people are always talking about. Space Godzilla, Destoroyah, Biollante, Gigan. You don't have, at least I'm pretty sure, if I'm wrong, I apologize ahead of time, but I'm pretty sure they do not have videos on like Baragon or Kumanga or Gabara or anything like that. That's why I think I don't think they're fans. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But as of right now, yeah, fuck DangerVille.
Yeah, I'll say that I wouldn't go as far as to say that I don't like. I feel like they probably do like Godzilla. Like, even if this is just like, you know, a clickbait thing or whatever, they still do put a certain amount of work into the videos that would denote at least an interest in the franchise. But they are not fans. Like, they are not folks who know all there is to know about this stuff.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I like I haven't watched any of their content because like I know like I know enough about what's going on with Godzilla that if I see a video that's like Destoroyah confirmed, like I know that it's not true, so I don't click the video.
Yep.
I think one thing I've seen that they do that bothers me a little bit, not that much, but like it kind of irks me, is they'll take official trailers and re-upload them to their own channel and be like official trailer, and that just seems like another kind of disingenuous way to attract attention to your channel.
They put the interview with Wingard up, where he was explaining about Godzilla being his Godzilla versus Destoroyah being one of his favorites, and they put that interview behind member subscription.
Wait, that wasn't even but that they didn't even conduct the interview.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm fairly. Let me hold on. Let me go to DangerVille because then I can also just look up if I was wrong earlier.
Sure. While you're doing that, one thing that really bugs me about like clickbait culture, like I understand as a YouTuber why people do it. I just really don't like this trend right now where you can say literally anything in your thumbnail or title as long as you add a question mark at the end. It's like Destoroyah confirmed for Godzilla X Kong sequel question mark? Like holy shit, dude. Like you can't just put a question mark and think that that's like okay.
All right. Well, yep. So they did. It was posted 3 weeks ago. DangerVille X Adam Wingard full interview member exclusive.
Interesting.
Now I don't think they conducted the exclusive interview. Maybe I'm wrong, but that again just seems like something so fucking stupid to put behind a paywall. If it was something for them. So let me look up some random kaiju under them. All right, so early on, like 6-7 years ago, they seem to have put up like some Baragon stuff. Nope, nothing on Baron.
Well, I can confirm that Dangerville follows me on Twitter, so this will be if they watch this.
Good, I hope they do.
I think they might have done their own interview, because I did watch the one interview. I don't know who the gentleman is. He's a reporter of some sort, but he interviews a lot of people in Hollywood. But he was talking about I've seen his interview with Wingard where he talked about how he wanted his next movie, if he were to do it, to hit the emotional highs of Godzilla versus Destoroyah. So I did see that one.
See, that's just another thing that I can put on to what pisses me off about Dangerville and their success with their crap, is that they'd be able to pull off interviews and stuff like this. It's like, you shouldn't be doing this. There's hundreds of real fans out there that are putting real work and real effort into putting information out there. And then here's these guys, oh, Space Godzilla confirmed. Fuck off. I'm a very negative person, people. What can I say?
I don't think you're negative at all, honestly, based on my interactions with you. I think you're a pretty positive guy. You're just very volatile.
Well, I'm passionate. Like I love Godzilla. All right, I'm a fanboy.
You like Godzilla?
I love Godzilla, man. As I said to Canuck before, I'm a whore for giant monsters. All right, so that's why I love everything Godzilla and everything, and that's why I get mad when I see this shit. It's like, it's nothing about being jealous, because if I was just jealous that they're successful, I wouldn't be talking to Canuck. I wouldn't be trying to be friendly with STR and on his server and loving Monster Island buddies and everything. It's just this garbage that's so successful.
Yeah.
And then you have people that support it, and they just blindly support it, and it's tiresome.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. As a content creator, it's very frustrating to see. Like, again, the question mark clickbait titles. That drives me insane. I understand the hustle. I use thumbnails and titles that are meant to draw people in to click my videos.
Yeah, you messaged me about the one.
I did message you about the one, and I stuck with it, even though you told me to change it. But
I just said maybe add a question mark to
it. No, question marks drive me insane. Because I was like, what I want to see next in the MonsterVerse, and I included a thumbnail of Godzilla fighting Malekith the Black Blade. And I was like,
I was wondering what that was.
And I was like, if you can't put two and two together that this is not a real thumbnail from the title, like, that's just simply not my problem. Whereas, a video with a thumbnail like Destoroyah confirmed using AI art of him fighting evolved Godzilla, like, that's I don't know, man. It just it walks a line.
It shouldn't be allowed. And also, I want to point out that I'm pretty sure Dangerville has merchandise.
I believe they do, and I believe that they are looking to collaborate with Titanic Creations for their next one.
Yeah, well, I really hope Toho C&D's their asses. Because it looks like they have Godzilla and stuff on their shirts.
Yeah, I don't think they were included in those lawsuit papers that were going around a while back.
Should have done.
Yeah, sorry, but I mean, they were targeting some very strange independent shops with that one. So, anything else you want to say about Dangerville, MM, or do you feel?
No, I think I got it out of my system.
Cool.
I don't think this video or this podcast will ever get monetized because of the F-bombs.
We'll see. We'll see. Well, with that, I think there's only one thing left on the list, but I will defer to our podcaster master.
Oh, I don't have that kaiju thing. I thought you had that.
Yeah, but you can explain to people what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. It'll just be the same thing we did last time. The random monster generator for each of us to see how we put them in the MonsterVerse.
Please don't cut that bit out when you're editing this.
No, I'm not gonna do it. Who would like to go first?
I think MM should go first.
Sure,
okay, MM, I would like you to pick a number between 1 and 3.
2.
Okay, your monster is Manda.
I mean, that's a really easy one. You just make Manda come from the Hollow Earth.
What? No, wow. Come on, dude.
Wow.
Jesus.
I don't know. I don't know how else you could really do, man. Like, you can have them still be like worshipped by the Kiwis and stuff.
Well, like, what's he doing? Who's he beefing with? Why is he beefing with them?
I killed Skila off. Killed Tiamat off. So what's another one of the underwater kaiju?
Second episode and you're already phoning it in, MM.
I'm not phoning. I'm trying to think.
He's pulling up ChatGPT in the background.
You could make like Manda like some sort of like human-made bioweapon to go after Godzilla and stuff. I just don't think that'd be a good role for Manda. So I would say I'd keep Manda in the Hollow Earth. He would be worshipped by the Iwis the same way Mothra is or was or whatever, and he's not a like a world destroyer type titan or anything. He's just Manda hanging out with his Iwis, and I don't know. He pisses Kong off because Zuko wakes him up, and Manda bites Zuko. I don't know. I'm really phoning that one in because Manda is such a boring kaiju to bring into the MonsterVerse.
Okay, fair enough. Kumo, would you pick number 1 or number 3?
Number 3.
Okay, well, you are now in charge of adding Space Godzilla to the MonsterVerse.
Oh, just watch a DangerVille.
Oh shit. Okay, Okay. I don't want to make it grounded or anything. I kind of want to keep the same basic idea of the origins, but I think what I would do instead is that a sample of Godzilla DNA is brought into space for the purposes of seeing how Godzilla's cells react to that atmosphere, because he's seemingly indestructible, right?
Yes.
So they do that, it gets caught up in a wormhole, like a black hole rather, and then they don't think anything of it. And then like years pass, and then somewhere near Earth, but not too close obviously, a black hole opens back up, and this thing comes shooting right out of it like an asteroid. It lands on Earth and it starts to warp the environment. It starts to crystallize everything. They send in a team to research this new like crystal jungle or forest, and at the center of it is Space Godzilla. That would be my setup for him.
That's a lot better than my Manda.
You can have a redo on Manda if you want.
I can't think of anything else. I'm over here sitting trying to think of like a non-stupid, convoluted way to get Manda into the MonsterVerse.
And just because this is an idea I've always had design-wise, I would make it so that he doesn't have the big jagged crystals coming out of his body, but his spines have a crystal-like pattern, and he can retract crystal blades from random parts of his body as weapons.
Oh. So, like, almost like the elbow spikes on Godzilla Evolved, which we never really saw in action.
Yeah, exactly. He would just pop them out, but they come out, like, jaggedly from, like, shoulders and knees, and, like, there's, like, no real control over his body, because he's, like, a fucking abomination.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's happened randomly.
Yes, exactly. So maybe there's even like a sympathetic monster element to him.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's definitely better than DangerVille's idea of having him come from the Hollow Earth.
Well, then, yeah, because then he wouldn't be fucking Space Godzilla, would he?
It's a very good point. Oh my gosh, that's really funny, actually. Because I haven't watched the video. I didn't realize that's where he said it was coming from.
No, yeah, it was like a Godzilla that somehow gets sent into space after and getting powered up on Hollow Earth energy. Something like that. I don't know. It was very dumb. All I know is it was originated from Hollow Earth.
Okay. Cool. So mine, the third kaiju that was left unchosen is King Caesar.
Ooh.
And this is kind of cheating because I when I did my video on what I want to see next in the MonsterVerse, the monster that I chose was King Caesar. That in terms of like design aesthetic, I want to see like a gladiator type kaiju. And I think that King Caesar could be the one to do it. Like have this monster that is like formally skilled in weaponry, because Kong is kind of crude, right? Like he swings the axe around. He's skilled with it somewhat, but like imagine a kaiju that has like as part of this human like collective in the Hollow Earth or wherever that like taught kaijus how to fight. And maybe they have like, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that would be pretty rad.
Yeah, it reminds me of Primal Region a little bit. I know the humans in that didn't teach them how to fight, but like having worshipping or whatever a monster that knows how to fight and does.
Yeah, and I was thinking that like, you know, you might even be able to play on the fact that his name is King Caesar. Like you might be able to tie it into like Roman history, and you could say that like Julius Caesar himself might have taken inspiration from like the legend of this warrior monster type thing. As for like plot element, like how would you involve that? You know, perhaps they said in the movie, I think, was it like 70% of the Hollow Earth remains untouched, something like that. Mm-hmm. So maybe like you have this other tribe of people living in the Hollow Earth, and their whole thing is like glory through combat. Not necessarily like killing each other, but just like that's what they live for, is the fight.
Ancient Sparta style.
Yeah, something like that. And like you could have King Caesar as their god. The skilled monster that defends them from the other creatures down in the Hollow Earth. Like maybe you have a Colosseum style thing where they bring in other monsters to fight Caesar in some kind of like celebratory festival, for lack of a better term. And maybe one of these times is Kong. Like maybe they find a way to like drug. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Like maybe one of their like celebratory hunts, like they find a way to like drug Kong, and they drag him into this arena to fight King Caesar as part of their celebration. And like maybe Zuko's trying to bail him out as he's trying to hold his own against King Caesar.
I can't get this image out of my head of them fighting in like what you described as kind of like a Colosseum type setting with the spectators like chanting like the King Caesar song from the original Mechagodzilla movie.
Oh,
chant.
Yeah. So that's how I would include King Caesar. I think that he would be really cool.
I love that idea, because you could tie that into even Godzilla then, with his ancient civilization that worshipped him in King of the Monsters. And then they're saying that he's taking a nap in the Colosseum because it reminds him of the architecture.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because then you could have Godzilla rediscover King Caesar, and turns out that those two actually know each other. So then you're still tapping into that Showa nostalgia of Godzilla having a partner with King Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I love your idea for the Sparta stuff, the ancient Rome.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
So now I'll make a video called King Caesar Confirmed for
Yeah. Yeah, use some AI art and put Spartan King Caesar Kaiju in like an AI prompt and see if you like Leonidas fused with King Caesar and that's your
Jeez.
Guaranteed 200,000 views, you can get a couple $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, holy. Help fund my wife's mat leave. Jesus. Cool. All right. Well, is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, not at this video. I think we'll think of some other stuff to talk about.
Maybe we'll dig up somebody that Kumo has an issue with.
I don't really. Well, no,
Yeah.
no, I don't really.
No,
he does. She does.
The only I can think of one channel, but I think it's gonna be a sore spot for a lot of people. So I think I'll wait till we're a few episodes down the line.
I'm gonna be DMing you and asking you.
Well, yeah, we're probably gonna watch something after this.
Uh-oh.
Well, if that's not a cliffhanger, I don't know what is. All right. Well, thank you both for joining me for another episode. This was a long chat, actually.
It went a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, it did. It really did. For those who are looking to find ways to get in touch with MM or Kumo, the link for the Kaiju Hugbox Discord server is in the description. You can join. You can chat with all the folks included in this podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next episode of... Well, we'll figure out the name later.
And fuck DangerVille.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.